Centuries ago, if a pirate ship wanted to ambush a peaceful merchant vessel, sailing under a skull and crossbones was a terrible strategy. Instead, they would hoist a friendly flag, like that of England or Spain, to trick their target into letting its guard down. And once they were close enough to strike, they would drop the disguise and raise the black flag. Today, that exact historical trick gives us the term false flag. In modern geopolitics, it describes a country staging a violent attack against its own people, but making it look like their enemy pulled the trigger. The goal is simple: manufacture enough public rage to justify starting a war. You might assume strategies like that are reserved for cartoon villains or Hollywood spy thrillers, but in 1962, the highest-ranking military generals in the United States sat down in a room and proposed this exact tactic, and their target was the American public. This is not a dark web rumor. Thanks to declassified government archives, we can read the exact paperwork that proves the military drew up a detailed, terrifying blueprint to terrorize their own citizens. To understand how sane adults engineered this plan, you have to look at the global anxiety of the early 1960s. The United States and the Soviet Union were locked in the Cold War, both sides armed with thousands of nuclear missiles. The fear of a planet-ending mistake was constant. That tension spiked sharply in 1959, when a young revolutionary named Fidel Castro took control of Cuba. For politicians in Washington, having a communist government aligned with the Soviets, sitting just 90 miles off the coast of Florida, was a terrifying strategic vulnerability. The US government tried to eliminate that vulnerability in 1961 with the Bay of Pigs invasion. A group of CIA-backed Cuban exiles landed on the beach to overthrow Castro. The mission failed completely, turning into a highly publicized, unmitigated disaster. Following the embarrassment, newly elected President John F. Kennedy instituted a strict rule. He knew an unprovoked invasion of a sovereign country could push the Soviets to launch nuclear weapons. He told his advisors that unless Castro attacked first, America's hands were tied. This created a massive problem for the Joint Chiefs of Staff. The generals at the Pentagon wanted Castro removed by any means necessary, but Castro was playing it safe, carefully avoiding any action that would give the US an excuse to retaliate. Pushed into a political corner by Kennedy's rules, the military leadership made a chilling calculation. If Cuba wasn't going to provide a reason to start a war, they would invent one themselves. On March 13, 1962, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Lyman Lemnitzer, signed off on a highly classified folder. The title was dry and bureaucratic: Justification for U.S. Military Intervention in Cuba. Inside those pages was the blueprint for Operation Northwoods. It contained a menu of escalating, horrifying events, all engineered to make the American public so angry and scared that they would demand a military invasion. The proposals started at the U.S. naval base at Guantanamo Bay, located right inside Cuba. The generals suggested dressing American troops in fake Cuban uniforms, starting fires, blowing up ammunition dumps, and staging realistic gunfights at the base gates. They planned to capture fake Cuban saboteurs during these skirmishes, bringing them in front of cameras to confess, ensuring the media had plenty of material to broadcast to living rooms across the country. Then, the ideas escalated. The document explicitly proposed destroying a real United States Navy warship in the nearby waters, blaming the explosion on a Cuban attack, and publishing fake lists of dead American sailors in the newspapers. The generals knew exactly what psychological buttons they were pushing. They noted in the file that a destroyed ship would create a massive wave of national grief, directly echoing the sinking of the USS Maine, which had successfully triggered the Spanish-American War decades earlier. The highest military officers in the country were fully prepared to sink their own equipment and fabricate the deaths of their own service members to secure a political objective. As the document continues, the targets shift from military bases to civilian centers. The Joint Chiefs proposed a simulated campaign of communist terrorism inside major American cities, specifically naming Miami and Washington, D.C. as locations to plant bombs. To accompany the explosions, they intended to arrest fake Cuban secret agents, guaranteeing the evening news would be filled with terrifying footage of communist spies operating on domestic soil. Perhaps the most ruthlessly cruel bullet point targeted vulnerable populations. The proposal outlined plans to attack boats packed with innocent refugees fleeing Castro's regime on the high seas, either faking the attacks or actually sinking the vessels, and ensuring Castro took the blame for murdering his own people. These specific pages proved the military apparatus had moved beyond aggressive foreign policy. They were actively outlining a strategy of domestic terrorism against non-combatants. The absolute pinnacle of Operation Northwoods, however, was a logistical magic trick straight out of a science fiction novel. The generals designed a highly complex illusion to fake the shoot-down of a civilian passenger airliner. The setup required taking a real commercial plane in Florida and painting it to look like a charter flight. They would load it with innocent passengers. The document specifically suggested college students on vacation, and clear them for a flight south toward the Caribbean. But there was a duplicate. At a secret military airbase nearby, an identical airplane would be waiting on the runway. This second plane was an empty, remote-controlled drone. As the passenger plane took off, it would drop below radar and divert to a secure location to hide the passengers. Simultaneously, the empty drone would launch and merge onto the flight path. Once the empty drone entered Cuban airspace, remote operators would override the radio to broadcast terrified distress calls, screaming about a Cuban fighter jet attack. Moments later, the military would hit a switch, and the drone would be deliberately detonated mid-air. Every morning paper in the country would feature headlines about the mass murder of American students. By manipulating early drone technology, the generals believed they could execute the ultimate illusion to start their war. With the radio frequencies mapped out and the fake identities prepared, General Lemnitzer took the finalized plans to the White House on March 14, 1962, ready to pitch his masterpiece. He walked into the room and presented this menu of staged violence directly to President Kennedy and Secretary of Defense Robert McNamara. President Kennedy had commanded a small PT boat in combat during World War II. He knew the grim reality of military conflict firsthand. Hearing his top commanders propose blowing up fake planes and bombing Florida cities, he was completely appalled. He firmly rejected the entire project. Kennedy made it explicitly clear that America would not attack its own citizens to manufacture a conflict. Shortly after this meeting, Kennedy quietly removed General Lemnitzer as chairman of the Joint Chiefs, sending him to a different post in Europe. In that room, the president served as the singular, critical firewall between a reckless military leadership and an artificially engineered war. The Operation Northwoods plans were immediately shoved into a folder, stamped classified, and buried deep in the National Archives. They sat in total darkness for over 30 years. It wasn't until the late 1990s, following the JFK Assassination Records Collection Act, that historians finally unsealed the folders and read the contents. For decades, anyone suggesting the government would willingly draft a plan to bomb its own cities was dismissed as deeply paranoid. The unsealed documents proved that the actual, documented history was far wilder than the rumors. When human beings operate in total secrecy, unchecked power can lead to terrifying calculations. Operation Northwoods stands as a permanent reminder that public archives and the unsealing of historical records are absolutely vital to keeping that power in check.